So it's always going to be watching it. And 3 years from now, 5 years from now.
Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is. It's not even white anymore. It's got coffee stains and everything. It's good color though, trust me. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All good, Denton? For me? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All good? Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
One day I'm going to have a dance routine for you. You're going to regret having this conversation. That would be a fun day. And Melinda, hey, do that.
Good morning, folks. I want to start by acknowledging that we're gathered here today on traditional Anishinaabe and Dakota territory on the homeland of the Red River Métis, and that the work we carry out as your government is done across the traditional territories of those nations, as well as the Inishiniyak, the Dene, the Cree, and the Inuit peoples here in Manitoba. And I want to say it's very nice to be here in Enola on this brisk morning. A few days ago, our government announced that we are moving forward with Canadian Premium Sands, CPS, which is going to create hundreds of good-paying, reliable jobs and will make Manitoba a leader in the low-carbon economy. That project will benefit hundreds of Manitobans, their families and their communities, and it is a significant step on the journey of economic reconciliation. Our province is one that is rich in critical minerals. And as your government, we are delivering a strategy to build more processing opportunities and to build out the supply chain here in our province so that we can realize the full economic benefits of these resources. This week, our government said yes to CPS. Today, we are saying no to Sio. Aujourd'hui, notre gouvernement dit non au Sio. C'est important de promouvoir l'économie dans notre province dans une façon qui protégera l'environnement. Et puis, dans ce cas-ci, nous pensons que le cas économique ne justifie pas les risques à l'environnement et à l'eau ici dans l'est du Manitoba. Earlier today, the Minister of Environment and Climate Change directed her department not to issue an environmental license to Sio Silica for their proposed silica sand mine in eastern Manitoba. This means Sio Silica will not be able to mine silica sand in this region. They will not be able to drill into the aquifers, and Manitoba families can rest easy knowing that your drinking water will stay pristine. We made this decision after a careful review of the environmental risks and the proposed economic impacts on the province. We reviewed the Clean Environment Commission's report. We spoke with department experts. We listened to the concerns of the community. And after careful consideration, we decided to say no to Sio for two important reasons. First, we will always put the health and safety of Manitobans front and center in our decision-making. And in order for Manitobans to be healthy now and for generations into the future, we have to protect a clean, safe, and healthy environment. That's for us today, for our children and grandchildren tomorrow. Second, the business case of this project does not outweigh the serious environmental risk this project poses and the impact it could have on the drinking water of this community and many others in the region. The technology that Sio is proposing to use is a new method of extraction. With this unproven approach, we cannot guarantee the safety of drinking water for future generations in this part of Manitoba. For these reasons, we are saying no to Sio and refusing the license today. We know that it is possible to create good Manitoba jobs while maintaining our responsibility to have a clean, safe, and healthy environment in our province. For our government, this is not an either-or decision. We are going to create jobs and we are going to protect the drinking water and the environment at the same time. In fact, we know that economic opportunity goes hand in hand with environmental sustainability. So I want to be clear. I want to be very clear that we are prepared to develop mining opportunities here in Manitoba, but it has to be done in the right way. It has to be done in a way that minimizes the risk to the health of humans and the safety of the environment. We can do both when we invest in projects that benefit Manitobans and when we say no to projects that don't. As a result, we are on a track to building a bright future for our province with a strong economy and a pristine environment. Our government will always do things in a way that is responsible, safe, and sustainable for Manitobans. Water is life, and today we are showing our commitment to protecting the water in Manitoba. I will now invite up Tracy Schmidt, who is the Minister for Environment and Climate Change, who will speak more about this important decision. Minister Schmidt.
Thank you very much, Premier Kinew, and I'm so happy to be here with you all in Enola this morning. Our government will always put the health and safety of Manitobans first, and we will always put safe drinking water of Manitobans first. That is why we are saying no to the Sio Silica project here today. This decision comes after months of careful review by our government, the department, and the Clean Environment Commission, all of whom have identified serious concerns and unknowns about this project. We've heard the same thing over and over again from the experts, from advocates, and from the community, and that is that you cannot risk Manitobans' drinking water with a project like this. And we agree. No one knows what the long-term effects of this proposal would be, and frankly, the worst-case scenarios would be absolutely devastating, as nearly 100,000 Manitobans source their drinking water from these aquifers. When it comes to our government's critical mineral strategy, we are committed to making sure that strategy is responsible to the environment and to communities. That means every proposal we receive needs to be carefully reviewed, and any potential environmental effects need to be thoroughly examined by experts. In the case of Sio Silica's proposal, that's exactly what we've done. We listened to the Clean Environment Commission and the serious concerns that they raised. We listened to First Nations elected leaders, and we listened to the hundreds of Manitobans, some of whom are here with us today, who spoke out against this project. We made this decision because it's the right one for Manitobans. Manitobans who care about their children and their grandchildren having safe and clean drinking water. Manitobans who care about having an environment that is protected and sustained for generations to come. And by making the decision to say no to Sio Silica today, we want you to know that our government cares about those same things too. Thank you. And with that, we will open it up for questions from the media. Thank you very much.
Minister Schmidt, you rejected this proposal. Would you rule out, are you ruling out forever any proposal to extract silica from this aquifer by any company?
This extraction technology is quite novel. It has never been done anywhere in the world where a proponent has drilled hundreds of wells through not only one aquifer but two to extract silica sand. We would certainly never rule out projects in the future, but this project, this proponent, this time is a no.
So to be clear, if somebody else came back and said we would like, with a proposal that involved far more in the way of scientific research, far more in the way of testing, far more in the way of test drilling, would that be possible then for this particular resource in this particular area?
This is a valuable resource here in Manitoba, and we would certainly work with experts, environmentalists, the department to review any future proposals.
Why not offer a graduated license in this instance where you would have allowed Sio Silica to do 1 or 2 or a handful of wells, tested over a period of years, and then issue a rejection or there? Why a rejection at this point versus a graduated license?
There are simply too many unknowns, and the risk at stake is simply too great. We cannot risk the drinking water for Manitobans, for agricultural producers, and for commercial operations in the area.
So the reason I ask that is, following the previous question, if you were going to leave it open potentially, hypothetically, to a future proposal, what would it take then for a future company? What signal would you send to anyone interested in purchasing these mineral rights right now in terms of what would be required before they could access that?
I think if you read the report issued by the Clean Environment Commission, they were very clear on what needs to happen. There are cumulative effects that need to be examined. There's a whole lot of scientific unknowns, scientific assumptions that were made so far by this proponent. We were dedicated, if there was another proposal, we would have to, again, work with our department, work with the experts, and make sure that we're making the right decision for Manitobans and for the drinking water of Manitobans.
In the back and forth with Sio Silica over the last few months, did they offer to do further testing? Was there any discussion of further testing?
I personally haven't met with Sio Silica. I've made my decision based on the information that was provided to us through the proposal process.
Forgive me, I am not asking whether you personally did. I would perhaps expect that the minister would have personally met, given everything we've seen in the last few months. But are you aware of any offers made to anyone in the administration or the political side of further testing prior to this rejection?
I'm not aware.
If the proponent were to come back and address the concerns that are identified in the CEC report, would you be open to having a new proposal?
Microphone, please.
Come forward.
Again, we have a dedicated economic development strategy. We have a dedicated critical mineral strategy. If more information is available, we'd be happy to consider it.
How is this one different than the one you just approved on Hall of Water? You just approved one 2 days ago and had a big announcement, and now you're saying this one is not safe. So where's the difference?
The two projects could not be more different. The only similarity between the two projects is the resource being mined, being silica sand. The project that we approved earlier in the week is using more traditional open pit mining methods. There is no requirement to dig through aquifers and there's no impact to drinking water, to Manitobans. This project here in the arm of Springfield was, again, a completely novel way of mining silica sand. It has never been done anywhere in the world. Drilling through aquifers to extract that resource is simply too novel, too risky at this stage.
So it's not from the pressure. There was a lot of pressure from Springfield residents. We don't want this. This is from the report. You're not satisfied. Go ahead.
This is an environmental decision that we're making here today, based on the environmental research and science that we have before us.
What was the recommendation from the environmental approvals branch regarding the license? What did the department recommend to you?
This is my decision that we have made here today.
What did the department recommend to you?
This is a decision that I have made here today.
What was the recommendation, if you could please answer Danielle's question,
The department does not make recommendations to the minister.
in this particular case? What informal advice did they provide? Because you do rely on your experts. They're smart, they've been there a long time, you listen to them.
There were many, many questions and unknowns raised by this project, and I made the decision here today to not approve the license to Sio Silica.
Right on.
Okay, please let me reframe that question. Did you receive any advice from informal or otherwise, from those said officials?
I've had meetings with our department, with experts, with the Clean Environment Commission for months. The decision here was mine to make today, and I think we made the right one.
I hear you. I hear you. It's very clear that it is your decision, and we see you making the decision here. We're not disputing that. Nobody is. But I think it's important for us to understand how this comes about. For you to say, were there any voices within the department that was like, yeah, maybe do this? What was the consensus that you heard from your government-owned experts?
I would say there was no consensus. There was no consensus. There were many outstanding questions, too many outstanding questions, too many risks to make a decision in the affirmative on this particular proposal.
Is there a technical paper outlining the pros and cons and the analysis of the CEC decision at your disposal that the government will be releasing to myself and my colleagues?
I've been working with the technical experts for months. I've received, briefings and met with technical experts, the department, the Clean Environment Commission. I am confident in our decision here today.
What were some of the weaknesses of the business case on this project that was referred to as one of the reasons for rejecting it, that the risk did not outweigh the benefits? So what were the weaknesses that the government determined existed in this?
Yeah, certainly limited economic opportunity in the way of jobs, in the way of revenues, in the way of taxes, in the way of royalties, and certainly far outweighed by the significant risks that we had to consider.
Could you speak to the job potential, or what were the potential economic benefits of this project? And can you please speak to that from the government's analysis?
I would, again, just repeat that there were very limited economic benefits as weighed against the significant risks.
So could you provide an example of what that means?
I'm not the Minister of Economic Development. I'm the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, and my decision here is an environmental one, primarily.
Premier Kinew, if you don't mind. Thank you very much, Minister.
Thank you.
That was.
Based on everything that you heard from your advisors and staff, do you think that Sio Silica actually had the financial wherewithal to pull this, had you approved this, actually grab this pilot?
The prevailing consideration here today is the risk to drinking water in eastern Manitoba. And any questions about financing or economic impacts in the province were taken into account into the decision-making process. And we have come to the conclusion that they do not come close to justifying the risk to drinking water and the environment.
I'm asking that question in isolation. I'm going to ask again. Do you actually think that company had the ability to do what they said they were going to do?
We don't take decisions in isolation. We take decisions with a global view. And we cannot divorce any conversation about economic impact with the impacts on the environment. And so that's where this decision is coming from.
Do you believe that RCT had the financial wherewithal to build a solar manufacturing plant?
Today's decision is about Sio as a proponent on proposed silica mine here in the Eastman region. And what we're saying is that we are interested in developing critical minerals, but it has to be done in the right way. And I think if you look at the announcements we've made this week, we're saying yes to CPS, but no to Sio. And in the process, we're saying to Manitobans, we're going to create good paying blue collar jobs, and we're going to protect your environment at the same time.
Get the electricity to...
Sorry, just I couldn't hear the first part of the preamble. Could you?
Then I said, regarding Canadian Premium Sand, how can Manitoba Hydro actually service a manufacturing plant, given the fact that they've already stated they cannot hook up to any new high-intensity customers?
We have tons of megawatts of clean, low-carbon hydroelectricity in Manitoba, and it's going to power our economic advantage for generations to come. But as part of being able to make good on the investment that Manitobans have made into Manitoba Hydro and being a low-carbon economy leader, we're going to have to protect the environment along the way, and that's what today's announcement about saying no to CO is all about.
Mr. Premier, how can you make your statement about hydro when Manitoba Hydro warned the provincial government in a briefing note that you know about, that I have reported on, that others have reported on now, that it cannot hook up any new high-intensity users and meet its existing commitments to customers? How do you make that statement? You got tons of megawatts.
We do.
Well, how do you reconcile those two things then, Mr. Premier?
We have the ability to bring online many large economic development projects in Manitoba, along with building new housing. And you'll see the proof of that when you join us for future press conferences when we open these new manufacturing plants and housing developments across Manitoba.
So you're saying the advice you received from Hydro in that briefing note through the government is incorrect? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know that our government has ever received that advice that you're speaking to. The previous government made all sorts of claims about Manitoba Hydro, but I'd point this out to you. The PCs have not built a single megawatt of hydroelectricity since Duff Roblin. We are the team that builds Manitoba. We build up hydro, we build up the economy, and we're going to do it in a way that continues to build a clean, safe, healthy environment for future generations.
Hydro talking about hydro, not the PCs.
Well, the PCs appointed their board of Manitoba Hydro. It led to higher rates and a lot of other issues at the corporation. So we took the decision to appoint a new board. We think the chair, Ben Graham, and the rest of the members of the board have what it takes to continue to build on our advantage as a low-carbon economic leader in the province. The CPS project, when it comes online, is going to be powered by clean hydroelectricity, and it's going to be the first patterned solar glass panel manufacturer in North America. So if you believe in fighting against climate change, the fact that Manitoba is going to be able to stand up globally and say you can get a solar glass component here that's not being built with electricity powered by coal, that's good news for the environment.
Your government is telling Hydro to build out wind power using its own expertise. I have hydro sources, as you are aware. They say they don't have that expertise. They'll never have that expertise. How do you think Hydro is going to suddenly manage to magically develop expertise in an area that's been ignored by successive PC and NDP governments for decades?
You know, I got a great piece of advice when I was playing hockey as a little kid. Somebody told me never say never, because it never ever works. And when it comes to building the economy here in the future, we have a yes we can mentality, yes we will mentality. And we know that wind is a really exciting opportunity to diversify our hydroelectric grid away from strictly dams towards other forms of renewables. That's something that we're going to pursue. We're looking at battery storage. We're looking at hydrogen as a potential other piece of our electricity framework in the future. And so we're going to pursue a global approach to ensuring that Manitoba's economy is a showcase for the rest of North America to say, you know what? You can do your part to solve the climate crisis while creating good-paying, middle-class, blue-collar jobs and having a growing economy. And so for a province of our size, I think that's probably one of the most important contributions we can make to the global fight against climate change, is to build up our economy in a way that brings the working class along with us and stands up and says to other jurisdictions, here's the way forward for the future.
Quebec is planning to spend billions on transmission lines to bring in the wind plants that it is planning. Ontario is looking at nuclear. Alberta is doing a lot with battery storage, but they've also building transmission lines. Manitoba is doing, with the exception of the federal money that was announced back in the fall, Manitoba is doing nothing on transmission lines right now. When are you going to get going on that?
Well, I would just point out again, we're coming out of a period where we had 7, almost 8 years of a government that, with that approach of their team, they haven't built a single megawatt of hydroelectricity or renewable power since Duff Roblin. Duff Robin was the last PC premier who built anything in Manitoba. Our team has a different approach. We're going to build the economy of the future. We were sworn in just over 4 months ago. So yes, the turbines have not been stood up yet. The battery power has not been installed yet, but it's coming.
It was Gary Dewar who partnered with private companies to build private wind farms that we have here in Manitoba. Why does your government think that the Dewar government was wrong to do that?
I think Gary Dewar was one of the best premiers our province has ever had. And along the way, he put a smile on people's faces by being a good person, having a balanced approach when it came to the environment and the economy. And so I think there's a lot of important lessons that we can learn from Mr. Dewar. And one of the things that we want to say at the outset of our administration is that the best way for us to ensure that Manitoba Hydro is going to keep your hydro bills low and affordable while building up the economy in the future is to ensure that Manitoba Hydro stays public forever.
I asked this question to Minister Sala, maybe you can give me an answer. How does buying power from a privately built wind farm make hydro not public?
I'm never a huge fan of the double negative, so I'll just respond with the positive statement. With our team, Manitoba Hydro is going to stay public forever.
I'll get rid of the double negative then for you if it's difficult to understand for you. How do you think, what is so wrong for a public entity buying privately produced wind power?
You know, at this stage, we're looking at wind. And when we have details about the wind farm or farms plural that we're going to stand up, we'll be happy to share them with you with the same message we delivered to the people of Eastern Manitoba today. When we do economic development, we do it in a way that ensures a safe, clean, and healthy environment for generations to come. We have some folks on Zoom.
Thank you, Premier. Julia Simone Rutgers from the Winnipeg Free Press with her one question, one follow-up.
Hi there. This is a question for either Premier Kinew or Minister Schmidt, but Sio Silica already has an environmental license for its processing facility in the region. Are any considerations going to be made about that side of their operation, or any changes potentially coming on that licensing front?
Yeah, today's announcement is about the sand extraction proposal, but certainly we will follow up on that other proposal that you're asking about, Julia. Thank you.
Yeah, you'll be following up with the company then. I think I heard earlier you haven't spoken directly with Sio Silica about this decision yet?
My understanding is our department has reached out to the proponent this morning.
Okay, and does this have any bearing on the RCT Solutions MOU?
I mean, that MOU is between RCT and the proponent, so I believe that question would be for them. Okay, the Premier will speak to that.
Sorry. No problem. That's my bad. Sorry, you had a question about the MOU that was executed with the previous government and RCT?
Yeah, RCT has made it. It has implied, you know, that their proposal is based on access to Manitoba sand and has been linked at times to the Sio Silica proposal. So does today's decision have any bearing on the MOU with RCT?
Well, the MOU is not legally binding.
Okay.
It's a separate issue, to be frank, to the decision that's being announced today. Today, we're saying no to the CO mine, specifically.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, they're not entirely separate. They are quite linked, but it just hasn't been discussed yet how it'll impact that MOU.
Sorry, do you have a question?
Sorry, I was just clarifying.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, those are the reporters on Zoom. We'll turn it back to the room. Thank you.
Okay.
Is there any concern about this type of announcement cooling, I guess, the relationship between the province and potential resource partners in the future?
I think we've sent a very strong signal that we're ready to develop critical minerals in Manitoba. And the way that we have a successful critical mineral strategy in our province is by saying we can bring these minerals to market with higher environmental standards, higher respect for human rights, higher labor standards than any other jurisdiction in the world. In the current economy that's moving towards zero emissions or decarbonization or low carbon, whatever you want to call it, a safe, clean, healthy environmental economy of the future, our value proposition is that we can deliver minerals to market in a better way than anywhere else in the world. But we undermine that value proposition if we don't do mining in the right way. And so that's why, in addition to announcing the decision today, we're also mentioning the context that we've approved a different silica mine earlier this week. So we are prepared to develop mining opportunities when it's done right, when Indigenous communities are brought along for economic benefit, when environmental standards are clearly understood and guaranteed and monitored, and when we can say with confidence to Manitobans and future generations that we help to bring jobs to your region while protecting your health and safety. On this project today, it doesn't fit with that economic and health vision for the future of our province.
What did you think of the reaction in the room today when that news was announced? Just like what went through your head and heart when you heard those cheers?
Well, I think first and foremost, we want to make the right decision for the people of Manitoba. And in this case, we looked at the environmental risks and concluded that the business case on offer did not outweigh those risks. And when you have folks in the room who are expressing their reaction, I would just encourage you to go talk to these good people and see what it is that they're thinking and you know, why it is that they're invested in the outcome of this today. So.
And you know, I'll rephrase my question. A lot of emotion in the room, obviously, too, in the sense that, you know, some tears happening now as a result of this announcement. You know, do you think that speaks to the relationship that Manitobans have with, you know, their environment, with the environment of the province? You know, what do you think that says about the relationship between Manitobans as a, you know, as a province and not so much a government, about the relationship with, frankly, nature and the environment?
For me, on a personal level, I find it very bolstering of the spirit because it tells me that we are one people as Manitobans. And what I mean by that is no matter where your ancestors came from or whether your ancestors have been here since time immemorial, we as Manitobans live off the land. And that's as true of the agricultural producer as it is of a family like mine who is teaching our kids to hunt safely and to harvest safely on these lands. And we as Manitobans, as a people who live off the land, understand that water is life. And the fact that that phrase comes from the Dakota culture, it comes from the phrase Mini Wachoni, which literally means water is life, and that it's now been adopted by folks in this region as their rationale for speaking up to protect drinking water in eastern Manitoba, it fills me with a sense of hope that we're building bridges across different communities and we're agreeing that even if we're not all alike, we're going to do the big things together, which in this case means growing our economy while also protecting the water and ensuring a safe, clean, healthy environment for the future. Yeah.
This question's been asked before, but I wanted to know if the local opposition had any impact at all on this decision.
Well, I think that maybe I'll invite the minister up to speak to it, you know, minister's decision.
Yeah, I mean, as a matter of procedure, I mean, all environmental licenses are subject to public comment. The Clean Environment Commission process not necessarily, but in this case, included a period of public consultation. So absolutely, public comments, considerations, concerns were taken into account. And that's just a matter of, like I said, due course for any environmental license.
We're going to develop silica in the Hollow Water Seymourville region. So I think, yeah, the silica in Manitoba is going to find its way to market. And what we're saying here today is that it has to be done in the right way.
And the silica in the region where we're standing today,
We're saying no to Sio.
is it still your expectation that the deposit will be developed in the future?
Well, that's a hypothetical. Right now, we have a real mine that is going to be built in the east side of Lake Winnipeg. But in this region, we're saying no to the proposal.
Minister Schmidt just said minutes earlier, though, that there could be future proposals for this particular act.
I believe everything Minister Schmidt has said today is technically accurate.
Have you any further or final, perhaps, thoughts on the role of current and former opposition members in the events of this past fall regarding this licensing?
It plays no part in what we're announcing here today. We're separating the politics from this decision-making. The political side that you're referring to is now subject to an ethics process. That's going to continue on regardless. What we're announcing here today is that we are, after balancing the considerations of the serious environmental risk and the proposed business case, we're deciding that on the merits of this project to say no. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone.